Alright, so today is December 7th. Can't believe it's December already. Doesn't feel like it with the weather. I'm not complaining. And we are getting rolling here. Smoothie recipe friends. I haven't done them in a while, Jamie. I think Mike still does them now, so I think Mike has the recipe for that. I don't even know if I still have it. It's been a while. Larry, you have stated before to add Google Sitemaps as well as Yoast. There's a conflict with them, so do you just use whatever one you want and disconnect the other? Yeah, usually I just use Yoast now, Larry. But I mean, I have sites that have them both on there. I've never even took them off. I haven't had problems. So whatever the conflict is hasn't affected me, as far as I know. How do you know how many PBNs it takes to rank a site? Can you put more than one client on a PBN, or should they be kept on separate PBNs? Do most of the good PBNs cost hundreds of dollars? How do you know how many PBNs it takes to rank a site? I mean, you can't like give specifics, but the more time you spend with SEO, the more you'll know. A lot of sites I can do within like 10 PBNs, 10 to 15, as long as it's not like super competitive. Any medium niche, you can usually do like 10 to 15 PBNs. Smaller niches, you can, do one PBN that can rank, just depends. Just things are a lot slower now, so it's going to take patience. But, like with Iowa SEO, whoops. Oh, I cannot spell today. We used 3 PBNs for this whole thing. Not even good PBNs. We're number 1, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. So we got 5 of the top 6 spots. And then Iowa City SEO, I think we got like the top 6. Yeah, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Top 5 for that. So, I mean, this was done with 3 PBNs. It's not that competitive of a niche, though. It's pretty easy. So it just depends on competition, and you kind of learn with experience how many you're going to need. But, I would say average, if you're doing local, as long as it's not competitive, like a big city, maybe 5 or so on average. I mean, it really depends, though, and it also depends on the strength of the PBNs. Can you put more than one client on a PBN, or should they be kept on separate PBNs? You can, Jerry, but it's just a little more of a risk. For me, it would probably depend on how much the client was paying me. Like, if it's a high-end client, I'm probably just going to use their own PBNs. Whereas if it's a lower-end client, I might mix them together with other clients. It just depends on how safe you want to be. The less clients you use on a PBN, the safer it's going to be. If something happens, then it's only going to affect that one client. Do most of the good PBNs cost hundreds of dollars? Not necessarily, Jerry. I still get really good PBNs for under $100. So, not necessarily. Can you explain principal differences between your EMD ranking method and SyncRSwim 2? Yeah, I mean, Jamie, when you got a keyword in the domain, it's going to get treated a little different. So with EMDs now, what I would do is follow SyncRSwim 2 first, and then you can kind of move towards that EMD ranking method as you move on and build trust. I haven't tested just doing the EMD ranking method on a new site with the new algorithm yet. Just haven't had time. But to play it safe, I would go SyncRSwim 2 first, and then you can kind of go around and hit an EMD ranking method after that once you get some trust built. Excuse me. Why won't you zoom? I don't know why this isn't zooming right now. There we go. Alright, do you send social signals to your PBN post after posting the article? What do you do after posting an article on a PBN? Just leave it or try to get it indexed using an indexer? I mean, the only social signals I send are from social explosion. If you have that installed and you make a post, it'll automatically send social signals to it. So that's all I do. And I just leave it after it posts. Any decent PBN will get picked up naturally pretty quickly. So I never really do indexing for I never actually do indexing for my PBNs. Alright, it seems like a lot of people use personas for PBNs or money sites. This seems to require clearing cache cookies and hiding and switching IPs. Can you talk about this, as well as if you do it, or how much effort we should put into this? If we manage client properties that have Gmail accounts, should we be clearing cookies and switching out? I never do, Ryan. I mean, the more of that stuff you do, the safer you're being, but I've never had problems not doing it. But I guess the more you go that way, the safer it can be. The more you individualize things and just kind of do stuff like clearing cache and switching IPs, it can only make you safer. But at the same time, I've had no problems not doing that stuff. So. Alright, I have a city SEO site that dropped dramatically in the SERPs around November 17th, went from position 30 to 90 plus. I only have social citations to the site, no PBNs or any other SEO. What may have caused the huge drop in rankings? Probably just bouncing around, Michael. I don't know how old the site is or any of that, so it's hard to say, but there's a lot of bouncing around going on right now. And Google's really playing with people, just putting you in and out of positions, sticking you on page 2 for a while just to see if you mess things up. So I don't know what you've done with the site, how long it's been or any of that, but I wouldn't worry too much about it if you've just done social and citations. Just make sure you don't got duplicate content, Michael, or something like that. Make sure no one's totally ripping off your site. For local, you said 5 or so what strength, DA25 plus? Remember, those are just metrics. But, average for me, my PBNs are like DA30, trust flow around 20 on average. Right, to register a country-level domain such as .com.au, we need to have a registered business number in Australia. I've registered .com.au domains using my business number. I've used fake info in the GoDaddy contact section. I've also hosted it uniquely. I'm just wondering if the business number used to register all these .com.au's will leave a footprint. Excuse me, guys. I got a bad cold the last couple weeks. I've never done a .com.au, so I'm not sure exactly what shows. But if you got the same business number showing and all your Whois information, then yeah, that's definitely a footprint. I'm just not sure where that business number shows, but if it's in the Whois, then absolutely. But again, I don't know where it shows. I've never done a .com.au. But I mean, if it's showing in public registry places, then yeah, it's definitely a problem. Welcome, Elizabeth. Again, don't be afraid to ask beginner questions. We welcome all types of questions. How do you keep up with all the work you have and want to do in a day, week, month? Any particular schedule or insights you can share? Yeah, I mean, for me, just writing stuff down that I need to get done and doing it. And when I don't have a list of stuff to do, then I don't get as much done. But when I have a list of things to do, I can easily go through that list and kind of get things, and it feels good to get things done on a list for me, mark them off, and I work better like that. So for me, it's just writing things down that need to be done, going through the list and getting them done. All right, from Ryan, I may have over-optimized inbound anchors to a particular money site page in order to compensate. I took the keyword off the page from 2 sentences, even though it wasn't on there much, which resulted in an immediate drop of 5 ranking spots. Some have said Google could be monitoring your suspected keywords even on page. Have you ever seen a ranking drop from reducing the amount of keywords on the page? I mean, yeah, in certain cases. Usually for me, if I'm over-optimized, that's going to help bring it back up. And sometimes it will drop a little bit and then come back up later on. Indexing is very, very slow right now. They're really doing some weird stuff. So I would just give it time. And if you think you're over optimized with your anchors, leave the on page under optimized. Now, have your keyword on there at least once, but you mentioned having the keywords on Yelp descriptions help me rank. Is that relevant if the link is from Yelp as no file? Yes. Money 1 and 2 are on host X. PBN 1 and 2 are on host Y. My question is it safe to link PBN 1 to Money 1, PBN 2 to Money 2? Yes, it is. When searching for expired domains as money sites, what metrics do you pay attention to? DAPA or trust flow? Everything, Dave. I pay attention to every metric. So I pay attention to domain authority, trust flow. Big thing is anchor text for me. Are they natural links? I pay attention to the title of the links, the URL of the links they're coming from. I look at the whole picture, everything. How many root domains they have, how powerful the links are, everything. You gotta look at the whole picture. You just gotta use one of these metrics, usually either DA or trust flow. Usually that's the top two I use. More than not trust flow lately. Just as a starting filter. And then from there you look at everything else. Alright, but usually you'll use one of these as a starting filter. And then from there you look at the whole picture. Alright, so what about using hosting for money sites in a PBN 5-bit network? That's fine, but just don't, be careful of creating footprints in that way where, obviously if you have a money site and a PBN on the same host, don't use any PBNs on that host links to the money site. Or if you're hosting multiple money sites on the same host, be careful of linking the same PBN to both those money sites, right? So what I mean is, if you got money site 1, money site 2, money site 3, and these are all on, let's say, like Bluehost, right? And you got a PBN you're linking out, and you link the money site 1, money site 2. We'll even do like an example. You got 3 here. Even if you did 2, but we'll use 3. If you're linking all 3 of these sites from the same PBN, all 3 sites you're linking to are not only on the same host, but on the same IP. So, that's a big footprint right here, even if you only had 2. Even with a couple of authority links, that's something that can be seen as very fishy. Because, you're linking, their sites, you're linking out to 2 different sites, but both on the same IP, same host, and that can definitely cause problems. So, you can do it, just be careful of footprints like that. What measures would you take if you had a high-ranking affiliate site negative SEO'd by competitors? It depends how aggressive the attack was, Andrew. And how strong links and what exactly they're doing. But if they're sending a lot of strong, let's take the cases they're sending a lot of strong links, or like a strong negative SEO campaign, let's say, with a lot of links coming in, I'd probably just disavow them. But I've never had too much problem with negative SEO, and I'm in some pretty competitive niches. A little bit. Like a lot of my example sites will get negative SEO'd, but I'm not sure if I missed it, but right when you discover your PBN is penalized, you remove the page's link or just remove the entire site. It depends on what happened to the money site. So if the money site's still ranking, I'll leave it up. If the money site is shot, then I'll just remove the entire site. Or I'll just leave it up till it expires, whatever. How do you boost the PA of a high DA properties, PBNs, GSA, or something else? PBNs, and how many PBNs are usually used to boost a high DA property? Usually for me it's PBNs. How many I use depends on the niche and how many I need. However many I need. Whoops, I guess I didn't screenshot that correctly. Alright, I understand Command Center does not have all the functionality as Register Compass, but I'm curious if you were able to still find good auction domains with Command Center only. Yeah, absolutely. Any suggestions for keeping the power up on PBNs? I have a few PBNs that have lost DA as much as 5 points. I don't worry about that, Jamie. I don't worry about that at all. If you look for domains the way I've taught, good natural links, they're going to keep most of their juice. They're going to be totally fine. Henry, I have a client who has been on page 2 to 3 for 3 months now. Pointing more than 25 PBNs at the site. I'm feeling I may be over-optimized at this point. With the fixed speed of build, nothing but branded PBNs at this point. Yeah, I mean, if you think you're over-optimized, don't hit that keyword at all anymore. Just hit some branded, general niche. If you're in SEO, do like online marketing, internet, anything anything with like online marketing type stuff, like bigger niche related. Don't keep hitting like city name and stuff like that. Is it fine to have the keywords in content and title for EMDs now with SyncroSwim 2? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I mean, it depends on the rest of your optimization, but yeah, that's fine. It also depends on, the length of the EMD. I mean, the shorter the EMD is, the more you can use it. If it's a really long EMD, then you probably want to use some LSI in your title, and so, I mean, it all depends. Depends on how trusted. Like, I'll probably start with a new EMD. If it's a longer EMD and it's new, I'm probably starting with like an LSI in the title. Then I might mention the exact keyword like once in my content. Well, whereas shorter, I probably wouldn't worry about that as much. If I'm using Social Explosion, do I have to erase old posts that I don't want social signals for? No. Nope. Do you use Google Analytics and Webmaster Tools for affiliate sites? If so, do you create a completely new Gmail persona for each account and affiliate site? Do we need to worry about hiding out IP or any other? No, I don't usually use them, Steve, but if you do, just create each one on a different Gmail email. Like, put them each in their own account. Because there's been people who have had a whole site, like if they get a penalty on one site in their Webmaster Tools account, all the rest of the sites in there will get penalties. So, depending what kind of penalty they get. When using a PBN, can we link to the money site along with 2 to 3 social properties of the money site? Yes. What about linking the homepage to an inner page? But linking the homepage and an inner page of the money site in the same article? Yes, you can do both. Do you think it's alright linking to more than one page of the money site in a PBN article? Yes. All that's fine. Just don't overdo it. Don't do it like every time you use a PBN. But yeah, I mean, that's natural to do. What silo plugin do you use? I don't really silo much, but when I do, I use the Network Empire silo plugin. Here's a longer one. I have some questions regarding a client site after watching SyncroSwim version 2. The site has had previous SEO work. I'm 2 months into the contract. At the moment, I don't have any evidence of being suppressed on page 2, but I want to make sure I'm proactive with this client as they're an important one. To give you an idea of the optimization, the site has 213 links. These keywords are all targeting the homepage. Domain is gregsredwidgets.co.uk. 55% of links contain the keyword red widgets. 16 contain red widgets London. 5.5 contain red widgets East London. 4.5 red widgets. So a lot of red widgets in there, basically what we're saying. Based on the search volume, would you be worried about the anchor text ratios, and what action, if any, would you take? Yeah, it would be. It's repeating that keyword a whole bunch in there. Way too much. let's see. I would need to see the exact example to tell you what I would do, but likely what I would do is just start building links with red widgets not in it. Any type of branded link, or again, general niche link. Even widgets I wouldn't mention much. Fine, like LSI you can use, like gadgets, stuff like that. So I would probably start just by building more links that don't have the keywords that are over-optimized in it. Tone down the on page a little bit, see if that helps you out. But they got to understand that that's going to take some time, just explain to them, the previous SEO really over-optimized things. And it's going to take time for you to get them back. All right, from Sierra here. Do you add 5 pages of content at least always on your PBNs, or do you still do PBNs with only a few posts? No, not always. I mix things up. Some of my PBNs, to be honest with you, still have only 1 post on them. Even like new ones. Like sometimes if I get lazy, I'll do a new PBN with just 1 post on it. Usually it's a longer article, at least 500 words, usually 750 or more. But, I try to add more than 1 piece of content on most of my PBNs, just to be safe. It is safer to do so. Give me 1 second, guys. Alright, sorry if I missed you answering this already, but with your new Thinkorswim findings, are your other thoughts on optimization between a money site's URL and titles? For example, would you not have Dallas Dentist in the URL and have Dallas Dentist on as the page's title because of over-optimization? Not necessarily. Again, it depends on the length of the keyword. But a lot of times they're going to be fine having the same thing in the title and URL. Then maybe just switch it up a little bit. If you approach things carefully, like I kind of talked about in the video, you should be fine there. Most of over-optimization goes with anchor text. But, of course, title, on-page, all that can play a part. Alright, do you use non-English language sites as PBNs if they have good metrics and they're cheap? Example, Chinese. Rarely, Linda. I'm not saying they don't work, but, there's just so many good English ones out there for me that I just stay away from them. So, I've heard Jimmy say something about try not to send more than 10 links to each money page in order not to dilute the trust too much. Is that something that's important? Of a site that would need more than 10 PBNs to move, is that dangerous? I don't necessarily follow that rule. It depends. Like I have sites. Usually, I don't need to go over like 15 to 20. And I'm in some pretty competitive niches. If you get your optimization right, you're going to shoot up there. And then after that, I guess you could from there start powering up, your own PBNs with other PBNs. Of course, you have to be careful with footprints doing that. But most people here, 99% of people, probably 99.9, will never have to do that. And even me, like I've learned going after really competitive niches almost isn't worth it. It's almost worth going after less competitive stuff and just more volume because, there's less competition. It's just less negative SEO. So I stay more in like medium level competition now. Because all that hard stuff, it's especially now with how slow it is, it takes forever to rank. You get the more links you have to do, the more problems you can have. So a lot of times I don't really need more than 10. I do have some sites with like 15 to 20 to them right now, but I stick in a lot of niches where I only need 15, maybe 20 at most, going to my money site at least. So, you got it, Eric. Alright, should you no-file your social property links from your site or let them be powered up site-wide? I don't no file ever on my money sites. I just leave them as do file though. See, do you ever use safe links? If yes, on what tier? No, I haven't really messed with that. I mean, I have messed with them a little bit, but I don't, like when I'm trying to really rank something, no, I didn't use that. Maybe just for like quick testing stuff, but no. When you make a PBN post that links out to a money site, do you ever do supporting posts from within the same PBN that link to the main PBN post to add either power or relevance? When you make a PBN post that links out to a money site, do you ever do supporting posts from within the same PBN that links to the main? Oh yeah, I do that sometimes, Ryan. Yeah, I think I taught that in the one of the newer PBN videos I did actually, where I will do that sometimes. Has the slower rankings lately affected how quickly you send your PBN links? Do you do 2 links per week or anything until you get the rankings you want? Not necessarily. Yeah, I basically send them the same length. It's just obviously they take longer to kick in. You guys, I've shown this example a ton now. You got Delaware Personal Chef. Or this site here, it took 6 months to go from number 40 to number 1 link. It's not it wasn't a strong link, but when we started, it was at number 40. Within a month or two, it was bottom of page 1, bottom of page 2. Then, after another month, it moved up mid page 2, top page 2. And after 3 months, it was bouncing on off the first page. After 4 months, it was finally down at the bottom of the first page. And it just slowly moved up. And links are just taking a longer to kick in. That's all. So, basically, I'm building them same speed for the most part, but just kind of being more patient, obviously, for them to fully kick in. So. Can we add more than one article on a PBN pointing to the same money site? Yes, can. 3 of my top competitors are using a high percentage of money anchor text and ranking just above my site in the SERPs. For example, one is using 12% exact, 25 LSI. They have 145 referring domains. Should I get more aggressive? My anchor text percentage is 5%. Looking to take number 1 spot. Remember, we talked about this in the thread. It seems like sites that were already ranking before this latest update or the latest algorithm change are almost like grandfathered in to the new algorithm, whereas it's almost like they're not getting the same optimization rules as new sites are. So be careful about doing that. Now, that could be that they're being grandfathered in, or the traffic's just offsetting the over-optimization, so to speak, or what would now be considered over-optimization. So it depends where you are. And what your anchor text looks like. Even though your exact is 5%, remember it's the whole picture now. So even though your exact 5%, well, how much is that keyword being mentioned everywhere else? For example, if you got Nashville SEO and that's 5%, but then you also mentioned Nashville SEO in a lot of your other anchor text, you probably don't want to get too much more aggressive. Whereas if you have 5% Nashville SEO and you don't mention it really anywhere else, start doing that. Start mixing it in where you have Nashville SEO expert. Of course, don't get too aggressive. You want to take it slow. But, that's the way that I would go. It just depends on what you currently have. And just knowing your exact match isn't enough now. You have to know what the rest of your anchor text portfolio looks like. Because remember, they're looking more at the whole picture now. We can never use any content from the past, right? De-index sites or expired domains. Yes, you can. As long as that content is not up anymore, you can use it again. Expired domains, though, is that you don't have the right to use that. Just throwing a disclaimer in there. You can use it. It's not going to hurt you SEO-wise, but copyright is, as far as that goes, you're not supposed to use it. Of course, do we? Yeah, we do sometimes, but you're not supposed to. Legally, I should say. I got my first PBN. I will host it today. If I understand things I've learned, I should put some new content on the site and let it sit for 1 week or so. What steps do you take to set up the PBN? And that's pretty much what I do, Mikhail. I get up that dummy post, so I'll even show you one. So here's an example PBN post that I do. Of course, I put it up on hosting just like we teach. Do like a little dummy post like this, just get some content on it. You can go to the site. It's called magentowordpresstutorial.com. So I'll put that up, let it sit for a few days, and then do the penalty check, which you can learn about in the training. It passes that. Obviously, it's number 1 for that, so it's good to go. So now I could just use this PBN anytime I wanted. Now, if you put up a site, you do the penalty check, and it doesn't pass at first, give it a few more days, check it again. If it doesn't pass again, give it another few days, check again. And keep doing that. If after a couple, 2-3 weeks it doesn't pass, be careful with it. There's things you could use it for, but usually I don't use them at all. If I'm not sure if they're penalized or not, which is rare, because usually you can add in a word into here, and like for example, I could do, if it wasn't passing this, I could add in, like WordPress tutorial, which will narrow down the amount of searches, usually. Obviously, it passes that because it passed the other one. Then, if you do something like this and it's like page 2, maybe I'll use that for sending Web 2.0s or social, something like that. You know what I mean? But then, obviously, if it's penalized, I don't use those at all usually. You can use them for certain stuff, but we don't even teach it, just because I'd rather people stay away from it. But I have many money sites on the same private server hosting. If I move them now to a new hosting, will it be safe, or Google already indexed the old hosting associated with this domain? You should be safe. You should be fine moving them. Speaking of Google Analytics, my numbers were going up for page view for a whole month, and then numbers of page views will go back down, and then higher again. Is this normal? It's been happening now for, there's a lot of bouncing around going on, it seems, nowadays. So, I would say that's normal. Google is trying to, I believe Google is just trying to bait people, doing SEO. So just be patient, trust what you're taught. For affiliate sites, if the main intention is to get visitors to opt in to a list, do you do anything in particular on the page to get the person to opt in? For example, in the content, you keep suggesting that the person should opt in to get your free ebook when appropriate. Are there any suggestions of things that you can suggest how to improve how many people opt into your list? That's more conversion, which I don't do a ton of, Steve, but just intriguing them. It depends on the keyword. If you're doing something for, let's say like electronic cigarettes, you can say, hey, you should subscribe to the list if you want to save on electronic cigarettes. And anytime deals come out, you can notify them, let them know they can get free stuff. Just, anything where they can benefit from, just make sure you clearly list the benefits, I would say. I wouldn't keep repeating for them to over and over to sign up to the list. Maybe you can remind them a couple times, but I would say the biggest thing is just giving them a good reason to sign in for the list. All right, with citations, do we use the address that's shown publicly or the one that we see when we log into our My Google Business dashboard? I've always used the one that I have in there. But if you want to make sure, you can ask any of the other coaches, Tom, because they do a lot of local. I don't do a ton of local. So if you want to be sure, you can ask them. But I usually use the one that I put into to my account. Are you now only using one PBN per money site with only one post linking out to the money site? Not necessarily. I'll do multiple sometimes. Depends on how important the site is. With FCS, do you send the links for indexing after using FCS? I haven't messed a ton with FCS yet, Joanne, so I can't really comment on that. I mean, usually I only use indexing stuff for like tier 2 links, like links going to my tier 2 links. Usually. Have a site with 40 products. Most of these pages are on page 2 to 3. Should I build links to one product page at a time? At what point should I also send links to the home page? You might want to send links to the home page now, kind of help theme and build the authority of your site, and that might help everything move up. How to register a PBN, privacy or fake persona? If fake persona, how do I pay for the domain? I mostly do privacy. You can use fake, but I mostly do privacy. You can do either one, though. I have a local pest control site that was built in 2010 on Weebly. I want to move it over to WordPress so I can put some different plugins on it and really do SEO OMG style. Will I lose current rankings by moving over to WordPress? Is it fairly easy to move a site to WordPress? If we want to rank for a specific service the client offers, would it matter if I rank that service page on the site, or would it be better to build a landing page for that specific service and rank that? I mean, when you move it over, what's going to affect the rankings is not the platform it's on, but the URLs. So I mean, if you're changing URLs, then yeah, that can affect rankings. That's going to change the optimization, obviously. So, I mean, that's the only thing it's really going to affect. I wouldn't say switching platforms is going to matter, but just if there's URL switches, that will matter. If we want to rank for a specific service the client offers. Yeah, I mean, you can rank the service page. That's fine. It depends. There's different situations where you might want to do either or. But usually I would say you're probably going to rank the page that offers that service a lot of the times. All right, when interlinking a site between the inner pages, is it okay to just add the link to existing already published content, or should we add more content within the link like we should do if we were adding a link to existing content on a PBN? You can just add the link in already existing content for that, Steve. Just to clarify from the last time you talked about anchor text on Tier 2, if I want to create a 2.0 and start powering that one up, do I need to keep in mind the Tier 1 anchor text going to a money site for building my Tier 2 anchor, or can I start over and it will be fine? I mean, usually I just treat the 2.0 as a money site, Gary, so I'll just kind of use the same rules as I do for a money site. On the Delaware Personal Chef site, how did you know you would only need one PBN link? Wouldn't some people keep adding links if they didn't know any better? I didn't necessarily, Tom. I mean, I just put in the link and just, it was more a test to see, it was, because the site I did it from was this site here. So this test was just one of my many tests that I have going for relevancy. The old site restore from the OMG Command Center, because this is just the old PBN site. I actually just ripped the content, threw up the old site, and I just threw a link down here. So I was just testing the Wayback Builder in OMG Command Center, and also, of course, an irrelevant link. There's nothing about clicking on the site yet. I'm linking to Delaware Personal Chef, so. And it's still, got the #1 spot from one, and this isn't even a powerful PBN. It was gotten for like $12. So I was just kind of doing a whole bunch of testing here. It wasn't necessarily get the site to #1. It was just more like a test, and it went to #1 by itself. So, but I mean, I think that's the case with a lot of stuff right now. Is people are sending too many PBNs because they're not being patient enough, and they're ending up over optimizing themselves. You got to be patient. I mean, so obviously links are taking longer to kick in. I mean, we saw with this example here. So just be more patient, trust in the optimization we teach. Should we go for longer pages or break down content into separate pages? For example, would be a product benefits, effects, side effects, etc. That's a case-by-case basis. Sometimes I'm doing all that stuff on one page. Sometimes I'm separating them. It just depends on how closely related they are. And, that's the biggest thing usually, how closely related they are. Your average, I know you said your average DA is 30 plus, trust flow is 15 to 20 plus. What is the average PA of your PBNs? Same, pretty much around 30. For the most part, it's around the same. All right, my money site has been up about 1 month. All I have is a few citations, Yelp included. I have Google+, Maps, and Twitter and LinkedIn. The site just is not moving, basically 4 to 5. Any ideas? Page 4 to 5. I think it is time for keyword links. If it's been up for 1 month, I wouldn't be worried about that. That's pretty new, especially nowadays. So I'll put up sites sometimes, they won't even index for like 2-3 weeks. So, I wouldn't be too worried about that, but just keep doing what you're doing, add some social, add citations. Eventually you can power those up with some, you can, even now you can start powering those up with PBNs. Give it a little longer, and then eventually you can send PBNs directly to your money site. Is it beneficial at all long term to purchase PBNs for a one-time fee, PBN links for a one-time fee, that only stay on the home page for a couple months and roll off, or will our rankings just drop once the link rolls off the home page with all the juice? Yeah, it can be beneficial, of course. It depends what type of site it's for me, usually. I do have links like that, and it doesn't seem like they lose a whole ton for some reason. But, imagine they do lose some. A lot of that stuff I've added, other links on top of that, so it's hard to say how much it loses when you have those type of links. I don't have anything in my testing where just those links alone. So, it's hard to say. But, yeah, I'll say it's definitely still beneficial. And that also just kind of switches things up. You don't have all links that are, sitting on the home page of the site. You now have some links on the inner pages of the site that's not, sitting on the home page. For a Shopify site, can we send PBN links directly to the home page, or do you recommend indirect links via a Facebook page and other social properties? Same thing as any other site, Ben. If you're sending PBNs directly to the home page, just make sure that you have your footprints covered. Make sure the PBNs aren't penalized. And really, I recommend that you only do it to sites that already have trust built to them, just to stay extra safe. Because the more trust that a site has, the less likely you are to run into problems when you mess up and send like a penalized site to it. You know what I mean? Like a link from a penalized site. So, it just depends on what's going on with the current site you're talking about, how much trust it has, and what other links it has going to it, and how experienced you are with SEO. Again, I have sites out there where they're making tens of thousands of dollars a month, and they only have PBNs going to them. No social, no traffic, no citations, nothing like that. Just PBNs straight to the money site, and they do very well. But I'm also pretty comfortable with footprints and all that. So, from Broer, can you explain when and when not to use GSA mass link building? Is it good for Web 2.0s that are linking to a money site? I personally don't use it, Broer. So you might want to talk to one of the other coaches about GSA. This is not a tool that I personally use. All right, I'm a new affiliate marketer. How can I tell if the recent traffic I've gotten is from a guest article post versus paying someone to build backlinks? Elizabeth, you can install some type of tracking software. Like, you can use Google Analytics if you want. But if you use that, I recommend doing one site per account. All right. Or if you don't want to use Google at all and you just want to stay extra safe, you can use something like GetClicky. I believe that's what it's still called. There's tons of tracking stuff out there to show you exactly where your traffic is. It's now called Clicky. Real-time web analytics. They'll show you where people came from, how long they stay. I mean, it's all type of analytics in these types of tools. So it just depends on what route you want to take. All right, thanks, Greg. If I move the site over, I was just going to point the domain to WordPress. Is that okay? Yes, that's fine. To expand from a question I asked last week, is it worth joining Chambers of Commerce? Not from the standpoint of trying to get your clients, but that you would link to your website to their website. I mean, yeah, that's fine, but the biggest thing you're not going to get as much from linking to them as you would get from them linking to you. All right. And also, if you're joining that, Suzanne, and you become a member, it can probably be a trust factor, of course, where you say this business is a Chamber of Commerce member, whatever. I don't know how Chamber of Commerce works, but any type of trust like that is going to also help with conversion or anything like that. All right, how deep do you go into the niche on average for your affiliate sites? I mean, as deep as I need to. I mean, it depends on the niche. And you go as deep as you need to. Is there a way we can check our bounce rate besides using Google Analytics? I mean, yeah, any of those analytics software like Clicky should tell that type of stuff. For money sites, if I buy a domain off the GoDaddy auctions with an age of 1 to 2 years but no other metrics, do I get the benefit of not getting sandboxed by Google? Not necessarily, no. I'm not saying it doesn't help a little bit, but I mean, not necessarily. It doesn't seem that they help. Like, I've used expired domains, auction domains for money sites, and basically the same thing. They might move more initially, but everything else seems to still go. Like, they might jump to the second page quicker, but they still get stuck on the second page for a while. You know what I mean? So, not necessarily. You might skip some of the hurdles, but not all of them. So there's a few more questions. I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick, and I'll take care of any other questions that come in. Just give me 1 minute, and I'll be right back. So we have had a few more come in. Good. All right, you mentioned in previous webinars some website that shows WordPress plugins. Could you please say what website it was? Oh, yeah, it should be, I think it's like what WordPress theme is this.com. I think what WP theme is that.com. So you can put that in there, and it'll also show some plugins, or you can do, WP-ThemeDetector.com, stuff like that. Are there any free keyword tools besides using Google? I mean, that's mostly what I use, Melissa, is just Google Keyword Planner. All right, as I'm huge in the competition niche, I would like to maintain stock of PBNs for future use. Do you keep just naked domains after purchase, or do you publish some content and wait to check if it's penalized or not? How many PBNs do you register per day? Just curious. So usually what I do is when I get a PBN, again, I'll set it up like I showed this example one, and just let it sit until I'm ready to use it. And it's fine by doing that. I have PBNs literally been sitting there for 6 months like this that I haven't used yet. So that's what I do. I kind of stock them up like that, and then when I'm ready to post to them, go post. Everything's good. How many PBNs do I register per day? It depends. I mean, some weeks I'll register 20, some weeks I don't do any. I haven't, like, for example, the last 2 weeks I've done none, just because I have a good amount on back pile right now, and I've just been busy doing other stuff, so it really depends. I have a phone call with a potential client this afternoon. They're a real estate company, and they have a proprietary platform, which I don't think we'll be able to change. This platform uses random URLs which are not SEO optimized. Do you think on-page and links will be enough to rank, or am I fighting an uphill battle with the platform? Yeah, I mean, it could be, John. I mean, especially with optimization now, I wouldn't be as worried about that. They're very leaning towards under-optimized stuff. So you can take care of the other optimization in the title and anchor text. So, I mean, absolutely you can still rank for what you're trying to rank for. Is there a number you like to keep it around? Sorry, I missed your response to pages per niche affiliate money site. On average, is there a number you like to keep it around? It just depends. I mean, it depends on how closely related the keywords are, if they can be tied together on the same page. I personally like doing as many keywords as I can on one page, but I also like to make sure that they're closely related. Because the more keywords you have on one page, the more you can vary that anchor text, like Thinkorswim 2 version type style, and still be hitting keywords you want to rank for. You know what I mean? So, the more keywords you fill on a page kind of now, it's almost like the easier it is almost, because you don't waste as much of your PBN type links. Which is a more powerful way to point a link from a strong PBN? Point it directly to money site page you want to rank, point to a Web 2.0 page with custom map embed video, and 3 links to those properties. I mean, more powerful is always going to be directly to money site, but it also, of course, could create more problems. So, there's a fine line between just figuring out what stage you're at and what you want to do. Even a lot of client stuff for me, like if it's a client, I'll always point PBNs first to social and Web 2.0s, almost always, unless they already have a good amount of links in place. But the reason for that is I don't want to mess up someone else's business. It's not like an affiliate site where I can just mess it up and not really care. If it's someone else's business, I'm making sure that I'm being extra careful. And for me, that means, pointing PBNs to Web 2.0 socials and all that first. I don't point to the money site until I absolutely need to. And then I make sure I double check all my footprints and my penalties and all that stuff. So. All right, so what's the best choice for building money sites to rank faster? Expired domains with good metrics or a live domain with average metrics? I mean, for most people, I'm going to say just build a new site, just so you don't run into other problems. Quick question about Google searches. If I live in Atlanta, let's say, and I need to find a personal injury lawyer, do I type in personal injury lawyer Atlanta, or do we need to type in location nowadays? As someone doing keyword research for this lawyer, do I recommend he keep using Atlanta in his keyword rankings? Yeah, I mean, I think most people pick up location now, so you usually just have to, but a lot of people still type in the location. You know what I mean? So let's see what mine does. Well, let's go to regular incognito might not do it. Like I'm in Delaware, so all you have to do is kind of test it for yourself. Yeah, and this is bringing up, Delaware lawyers. But I mean, with the new Synchroswim 2, this kind of fits both. Because, I mean, you're going to hit stuff like, personal injury lawyer by itself. You're going to hit stuff with location in it. You're mixing and matching. So if you haven't watched that video, watch it. It kind of goes along with what you're saying, where it's going to mix in everything. All right. So we got one more question. I'm going to give it another 30 seconds for any final questions to roll in. We got 2 now. And then we'll hit these last questions and we'll get this wrapped up. All right, cool. So we got a good amount coming in. We'll finish up these last ones here. I rank for a keyword in position 4 underneath my listing. I have a mini site links with 4 small links to other internal links of my site. None of the sites listed above me have these site links. What do you think would cause these? Does it mean I have more trust in these sites ranking above me? I think that's kind of from the internal linking of your site. Usually, Andrew, I'm not totally positive. But I think that's what it's from, is the kind of the way you internal link. I'm pretty sure. But I've never really looked deep into that. And I haven't seen that position 4 much. Usually it's a site at number 1. Sometimes a site at number 2. I've never seen it at number 4. On the example PBN site shown here, do you use link juice keeper or similar? I've noticed some weakening metrics, some dramatic. Am I waiting to be used PBNs and kind of stumped about the cause of that? No, this actually doesn't have link juice keeper on it. Any site that's built in the Wayback Machine will not have it on there because it's built in HTML. So, no, that site that I showed, mattonthemainline.com, does not have link juice keeper on it. If we buy verified social accounts from people on Fiverr for a money site, is there any danger of the same accounts hurting the money site? I'm not sure what you mean there, Steve. Are you still recommending the branded plus keyword anchor text as in the END example? Yeah, but first file Synchroswim 2, Jane. You build that trust first. Then you can kind of hit that later on. We kind of talked about that a little earlier. My money site is in health. Should I use only health PBNs or can I use business ones? You can use business too. They don't have to be about health. Of course, if they're about health, they'll probably help more, but so we did get a few more in. Let's cover these last ones. How would you optimize something like a product listing for WooCommerce? Would you avoid using the product name in the URL title plus H1? If you covered it, I'll watch the replay. I mean, yeah, most of the time, if it's in URL and title, I would use like an LSI for H1. And again, it depends on how long the keyword is, how long the product name is. But I guess for a product name, you can't really use LSI. I would probably not use an H1 for that. That's just me. So yeah, for me, I mean, it depends. I would have to see the certain example, Josh. You can Facebook me if you want to ask me directly. If I see it, then it's hard to answer this because there's all different scenarios where I will do different things. So if you want to Facebook me and ask me on exactly what you're talking about, then I'll let you know. Sorry if this is basic, no problem with that. But I wonder if you would like to rank for. If you would like to rank for Pasadena, should I specify which state it is? Since there are several cities with this name. In some of your anchor text, yeah. I mean, on page, absolutely. They're going to take that on page and know that, Susanna. Like it's on your, they'll take that from your on page and they'll know, and your title, of course. So I would specify it in your title and also on your on page content. And then just mentioning it, once in your anchor text will help solidify what Pasadena it is. Referring to the other PBN you just built. I don't know what that was from. Alright, so we got one last one here, and then we'll get rolling. Just want to make sure it's all taken care of. Whoops, I didn't get it. I'm just going to read this so I don't got a screenshot again. Alright, so it says, I have a plugin that links internally to all pages with the page title. Will this be problematic as all anchors are the same? I mean, I've never really used a plugin like that, so I can't say for sure. But I wouldn't, I wouldn't link my sites like that typically, so. I don't have testing data to answer that specifically. Alright guys, so I'm going to end this webinar here. I'll get the recording over to David, and he'll have it up soon. If you need to see anything in here, and I will see you guys all next Monday. Have a good day, guys.